Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer, here with Justin Fan and Mike Gallagher, the two best in the industry at covering news related to injuries and providing the context around the injury report that is always full on these Fridays. 9-game slate today, a little bit less to get through. Can we do it in under an hour? Probably not. How are you on Friday?
I'm doing well. I think I need a vamp for a little bit. It's a little bit of a light slate, so we can talk about the Mavs having manufacturing issues already with their in-season tournament court, if you want to. But yeah, it should be a good slate. Good to be back with you guys.
Mike, how are you on this fine Friday?
Yeah, love this little 9-gamer. Light yesterday, hiked 2 days in a row during the week. I mean, what's going on here? Get to go hiking tomorrow and get to enjoy some pizza. Sam is on our minutes team, and he owes me pizza from a bet that I won by 8 seconds on a minutes bet. So shout to Spo. Winning a Miami bet is going to taste extra sweet. And also, Fan, art connoisseur over there. What do you got going on back there?
Nah. This is not my place. I'm at a friend's spot right now.
Love to see it. Fan, the international man of mystery traveling around the world. It's like, where's Justin Fan, the old where's Carmen Sandiego game that I played as a child, dating myself. All right, let's get into the injury report tonight. Let's start with Charlotte and Washington, a rematch from Wednesday night. On the Charlotte side of things, still no Terry Rozier, no Miles Bridges, no Cody Martin. Gordon Hayward pops up on the injury report with a probable tag due to a hamstring strain, which is a concerning listing. Justin, any thoughts on Gordon Hayward's availability for tonight?
Yeah, this seems like a pretty flimsy probable tag, to be honest. Probable generally 75%, but like with the designation being a strain, I'm probably treating it more like a questionable tag. So it'd definitely be on alert here that Hayward gets downgraded from probable to out potentially. And obviously, that would be a massive blow for this Hornets team that's already without Terry Rozier. We've seen Hayward have a pretty big role in the last 2 games without Rozier, 33 minutes a game, 28% usage, just right behind LaMelo. And this is just going to be another massive LaMelo ball spot. I mean, he played 36 minutes last game, even with the game being out of hand for most of the night. He sat the final 4 minutes of the game because of garbage time. So just another big spot. This is the best game environment of the slate. They combine for 232 in a blowout on Wednesday. It's a 239.5 total. So yeah, really good LaMelo spot, kind of running it back. And then Brandon Miller, obviously the minutes have been really good for him. 33 minutes a game the last 2. But the value's been a little shaky, just in terms of what he's been providing in those minutes. The stocks haven't really been there. He doesn't really do much by way of assists. The rebounds are kind of middling. So he needs his usage to kind of climb a little bit closer, 20% for him to really put up any big lines. But this upside here for Brandon Miller, if Hayward is out, is going to be huge. I mean, they're going to have him play a ton of minutes. PJ Washington obviously has seen 35 minutes a game in the last 2. So it's been concentrated without Rozier, and it might be even more concentrated if Hayward is limited and or out in this one.
Yeah, and I'll add, there has been multiple instances like we talk a lot about Bucks probables. The Hornets are on this probable watch list. They put probable tags that get downgraded all the time. It happened with Rozier twice last year, I believe. Hayward all the time. I think it happens. So yeah, again, like do not treat this as a probable tag. Do not be firing at, again, just be careful on the Hayward thing. And then another thing I want to note that you kind of mentioned there, they went small a lot. And that was a big concern to Steve Clifford. We saw a lot of like PJ at the 5 early, which helped us. We had a Nick Richards under it was really helpful with that situation because Mark Williams is in foul trouble. So watch out for that. He did say they want to go big, but if the big lineups aren't going well, I won't be surprised if they go a little bit smaller, which again could really make PJ Washington something to watch. So like if you're on hashtag 28 after, keep an eye out for Washington stuff. If you could be quick, and this Hayward thing is garbage. But yeah, so keep an eye on that. And then Mark Williams is off a minutes limit, and he ran really bad, as I mentioned. So I think he could really rebound. We know we love to play centers against Washington, so I could see a big rebound spot here, both actual rebounds and in the sensitive bounce back here.
Who do you think would start if Hayward was unable to go there? Who is the bench player that moves into the starting lineup in that scenario? Is it JT Thor? That seems to be the guy that they have the most confidence in.
Yeah,
Oh no, I would say
Who would you say, Gallagher?
McGowan's. I think they'd move Brandon to the 3, Bryce to the 2.
Okay.
I think they kind of go off the bench. That'd be really, really big. Talk about like big lineups giving them problems, and they're making them bigger. I don't think he would do that. I think they would kind of just. They might even start Teo Maladon and then kind of move Dennis. I'm sorry, Ish Smith got my backup point guard mixed up. Ish Smith kind of into Teo's spot, and I think that kind of makes sense. So I would think it'd be a guard. I would lean Bryce, but I would say Teo. I'd be pretty shocked if they go JT Thor.
Okay, interesting. Let's move to the Washington side. I don't think there's really anything to touch on. They have just a G Leaguer listed on the injury report is out there. So just any quick notes that you guys have on Washington. Justin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think Kuzma might be the only player you can really trust on this team anymore. We've seen that like he's the only one on this team who hasn't dipped below 25 minutes in a single game this year, despite game flow. And you look at Jordan Poole, what an absolute just nasty work from him last game. Played 20 minutes, was benched down the stretch for DeLon Wright, Andrew Shamet. So we've seen Unseld. He's shown the propensity to roll with the second unit and play them extended minutes in this one if it gets a little out of hand. So yeah, a little downside. We talked about this last week already with the minutes here for the Wizards starters, but yeah, we'll drive that point home again after seeing what happened to Poole on Wednesday.
Yeah, good game from Brandon Miller defensively, and he was kind of all over him. Poole has struggled with long players on him at times too, so I expect Poole to bounce back. But yeah, Kuzma's been really good. They're running a lot of offense through him, a lot of like delay screen stuff, but he's been a big focal point for their offense. I expect that to continue.
All right, let's move to Philadelphia and Detroit. Philadelphia just has Nicholas Batum, now going by Nico Batum, according to the Philadelphia broadcast team, listed as probable with right finger sprain. He got that finger real bent backwards after hitting the backboard there. He's listed probable, though, expected to go. From a Batum standpoint, it is on his shooting hand, low usage player on the whole with a finger injury. I would expect him to probably not be taking a lot of shots out there, just generally in the minutes that he plays. Any other notes here for the 76ers, Gallagher?
Yeah, the big one with Batum. So Nick Nurse said that he views Batum as, quote, probably like a starter, and he kind of says that Morris and Rocco are, quote unquote, tough options for them off the bench. So yeah, we kind of saw Oubre get cut down a little bit by Batum here. They like his spacing, Batum, and they kind of like how they, which is really important when you have Tyrese Maxey getting into the teeth of the defense, and then you have obviously Embiid. So it makes sense. So I think that this Batum stuff's something to watch. Takes a teensy bit of upside off Oubre. We'll see. A matchup here. I think they could certainly generate offense after the Pistons are starting to struggle. But yeah, pretty concentrated. We know that the Nick Nurse workout plan has been fully in effect for Tobias and Maxey and Embiid to slightly lesser, but still pretty big degree.
Any thoughts on Philadelphia, Justin, or can we move over to Detroit?
Yeah, the Embiid assist percentage has been awesome. He leads the league in assist percentage. He leads the league in usage rate. Just his bump there, his growth there. The assist percentage is on par with Kyrie. SGA right now is ahead of Maxey too. So he's just been the focal point. The vibes have been awesome. They've been subtweeting the hell out of James Harden, talking about no egos, the team being unselfish, the ball moving. So Nick Nurse hire has been a really big success so far.
Yep. Detroit side of things, still without Bojan Bogdanovic, Alec Burks, Joe Harris, Jaden Ivey, Isaiah Livers, and Monty Morris here. So they've been playing pretty thin of late. I will note my feel here is that this feels a little bit like a Philadelphia letdown spot. So I know it's a big spread standpoint, but Philadelphia coming off of kind of the big emotional win against Boston. Now they're on the road in Detroit against a Detroit team that has a lot of guys who will play with attitude and kind of aggressiveness. I'm on Detroit a little bit tonight, which feels really uncomfortable just naturally, but I kind of think it's a letdown spot. Detroit is really thin, though. The good news is Jalen Duren isn't on the injury report. At least I think that's good news because he keeps showing up late on the injury report. So hopefully he's healthy and fine to go in a matchup that they really need him against Joel Embiid. Justin, what are your thoughts on Detroit tonight?
Yeah, they ran a 9-man last game with Duren, and we're seeing just big minutes for Marcus Sasser. I want to highlight him especially. He's been really aggressive. They've been lacking really that number 2 scoring option behind Cade. without Jaden Ivey, and Sasser has kind of stepped into it. He's been second in usage over the last 2 games when they've been shorthanded, 21% usage rate and 31 minutes per game off the bench. So I want to highlight his role. He's been really good overall, and it just kind of further, puts into question what Jaden Ivey's role is on this team and moving forward in the future, right? You have Cade, who obviously the franchise piece you're building around, Asar, who's been incredible as a rookie defensively, rebounding, the shooting starting to come around. You have Marcus Sasser starting to emerge now. Where does Jaden Ivey kind of fit into this team long term is kind of one thing that I'm looking for. So just got to give props to Sasser. He's been so impressive the last couple of games when they've been shorthanded.
Yeah, Fan, where would you? We did this on the pod yesterday. Is he a lottery? If you redrafted, lottery or what?
Yeah, pretty close. I mean,
really.
I think teams are starting to think a little bit twice about drafting these smaller guards who can't really play defense, and Ivy can't really space either. So it makes it tougher. You need kind of a specific situation for him to be in, where you can play.
Sorry, Justin. Minutes. Mike was talking about Sasser, not Ivy.
Oh, Sasser.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Did I misspeak there? Sorry.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen enough from him to go that far yet. But yeah, I mean, he's been great. So far I can't really say much.
For sure. So just with the game last time, if I could just note really quick, 39 from Cade. Monty Williams said that he played him and Stewart 37 minutes. Quote, way too many minutes, which he says it all the time. And the Nick Nurse cycle. Plays a guy 2 minutes, says he played him too many minutes. Plays him 20 minutes, says he played him too many minutes. So, I'm kind of not buying that. And then, you mentioned Sasser. How about Cade's role? Third in half-court possessions in the entire league behind Luka and Embiid. First in pick-and-roll handler possessions on volume. He's been a little inefficient. So you're entering a huge, huge role. And then just going back to the Nurse thing, this Philly team was playing slow at times. They're getting in their stuff pretty quick. They have the second lowest half-court frequency. So they're kind of running a little bit with this new Nick Nurse style. The coaching change has really changed the dynamics of their offense and defense. Embiid been really good rim protection with all this kind of length and switch stuff outside the old 1-4 switch. But yeah, Nick Nurse has been a really big impact. Definitely one of the favorites for Coach of the Year early on.
All right, let's move to Brooklyn and Boston. Brooklyn injury report, very, very full. They do get Cam Johnson back, listed available tonight with that left calf strain, but no Nick Claxton, no Ben Simmons, no Cam Thomas, and then none of the G League guys. No Keon Johnson, no Derek Whitehead, no Jalen Wilson, no Noah Clowney. So really shorthanded here. Big underdogs on the road in Boston. Justin, what is your expectation for Cam Johnson minutes tonight, and how do you think this rotation shakes out? Who does his return impact most?
Yeah, so we saw Cam Johnson in his debut play 26 minutes in the opener. Didn't start the second half, so I would expect some sort of similar minutes limit in this one, even with them being shorthanded. So didn't go too aggressive with the minutes. I think 26 is just a good placeholder, just given that's what he played the last time around. I feel pretty good about the starting lineup being Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Royce O'Neal, Cam Johnson, and Dorian Finney-Smith. And I think they're going to run a 9-man with that bench being Dennis Smith Jr., Lonnie Walker, Day'Ron Sharpe, and Trenton Watford. I think there's been some buzz that they might play Armani Brooks in this spot, but I think it'll be a 9-man to start. But yeah, just a massive usage void now without Cam Thomas. He was 12th among all players in usage rate. And so I think that the use is going to be concentrated between 4 players. It's going to be Mikal. It's going to be Cam Johnson. It's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie a little bit, though his role's been a little shaky. It's hard to get really excited about him. But the guy that I want to kind of highlight a little bit is Lonnie Walker, who's been very good for this team off the bench, who's played a good amount. I think he's pretty sneaky today overall. So Lonnie Walker, want to shout him out. His usage has been above 22% in 6 of his 7 games this year. And this is a team with Cam Thomas out, Cam Johnson limited, that's going to need someone to kind of step in and fill some of that usage void now. So I think Lonnie Walker is kind of a sneaky candidate to take on that role. I think he's going to play pretty healthy minutes off the bench with them being shorthanded and with Cam being on that minutes limit. So, other guys on this team like Royce O'Neal hasn't really seen a usage bump from game to game, even when they've been shorthanded. So not really expecting his role to change too much offensively. Mikal just in a massive spot though, just overall. I think, the matchup obviously is not ideal, but the minutes and the usage should get him to a pretty solid floor, just from that alone. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. DFS has played really well overall, but yeah, just tough spot, tough matchup for them today.
Yeah, for sure. So actually, we're being really conservative on Cam for a couple reasons. One, obviously calf, hamstring, but same leg. That gives me a little bit of concern. Two, as you mentioned, Lonnie's playing great. Like, I think there's a chance that Lonnie starts. I agree with everybody else, but I think Cam is the favorite to start. But I won't be surprised if Lonnie starts over him just because he's playing so well. Vaughn talked him up like crazy, so that's something we'll be watching there. Curious to see what the lines look like if they come out. And then one other thing I want to add too is Day'Ron Sharpe. There was some commentary from Jacques Vaughn saying that they wanted to play bigger at times, given the way that this rotation is shaking out, getting a little bit thinner. I wouldn't be surprised if even like Day'Ron starts in Cam's spot. I think that's on the table. I think it's pretty unlikely, but that's something to look out for. So maybe that impacts Dorian Finney-Smith's rebound rate. We actually took an under on him sort of a little bit for this reason, but Trendon Watford's definitely in there, and DSJ's definitely in there, Lonnie's definitely in there, and we gave some Armani Brooks minutes just because, if you're running a 9-man and they don't want to play Cam Johnson, that kind of leaves some minutes on the table. So that's kind of where we at there. But definitely.
How low?
All you can eat.
How low did you go on Cam Johnson's minutes? Curious.
I think 24, just a couple, and then
we'll
bump
fine.
him up
I think
26 when he's starting.
Yeah, I think that's totally reasonable, and you can give Armani Brooks some minutes there just as a hedge on Cam, plus the blowout risk potentially too. So I get it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we are underloaded on this game, so hopefully on the Brooklyn side of things, we have 3 unders that we've taken already. So hoping that the spread tells the tale here. On the Boston side of things, front end of a back-to-back, the only team involved in a back-to-back on the slate, which is beautiful. Love that. Would love more of that from the NBA generally. I think it's great for these in-season tournament games to have less teams involved in back-to-backs. Al Horford is going to be out tonight due to injury management. Otherwise, a pretty clean injury report here. We've seen them play without Horford a little bit at different points in the season. Shouldn't affect the starters. Should introduce more Luke Cornett. Any other notes here, Justin, on the Boston Celtics?
Yeah, we'll note that Kristaps said earlier today that he plans to play both legs of this back-to-back. So I think there's definitely minutes downside there. I think if this one gets ahead, I think it's a 12-point spread the last time I checked. But if this one gets out of hand, he's just going to be held out late in the game and not going to play, deep into the fourth quarter. So I think there's a floor there just with him, planning to play both legs.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'll add a little bit of O'Shea Brissett. He's run ballpark, call it like 30% of his minutes at center. Some of that's garbage, but they do run him as a center. They obviously need the center minutes. They're not going to play Luke Cornett, kind of like all the non-Porzingis. We don't think we've got, I think, 12 minutes on Cornett, so we're looking at that. And yeah, an eye on Boston's offense. The last 2 games they've been pretty bad, 19th and 13th percentile on offense. Certainly good matchups against Philly and the immovable object Minnesota Timberwolves. So keep an eye on that there. The Nets have been pretty bad indeed, 26 and a half court. So a get-right spate for this Boston offense. And again, as Dink mentioned, we are jamming unders on Nets because we expect the Celtics to kind of roll here.
Yeah, I think any game that an offense is playing Minnesota should be kind of thrown out the window, just given how good they've been playing. I think they have like 5 of the top 6 in defensive rating right now. They're just absurd on that end of the floor.
Yeah.
Let's move to Minnesota. They are visiting San Antonio tonight. On their injury report, nothing really notable here. It's just missing the G League guys and Jordan McLaughlin. Justin, I'll start with you. Any notes on the Timberwolves?
Yeah, I mean, their defense has been incredible, so I have zero interest in any San Antonio Spurs today. So I guess on the other side, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert has been playing really well. Just overall, defensive player of the year favorite right now. I don't really have a ton else to add. I think this Spurs this game might get a little out of hand, just given how well Minnesota has been playing as of late, and we're still kind of running Point Sohan out there, and it hasn't been great. So Devin Vassell, you should see more minutes this time. He came off the bench behind Malachi Branham. I don't think he should have played last game. He was doubtful and then was clearly limited. So would think he plays a little bit more. But like I said, this one has sneaky blowout risk, and don't really want anything to do with the Spurs.
Do you take 6.5?
Yeah, I like 6.5.
6.5. Yeah, I'm taking it. I like to hear. I wanted to hear what you had to say before I took, so I'm taking it. Also, don't limit me.
I mean, this Spurs offense has like struggled to be competent with Sohan running the point. And you match them up against this Wolves defense. I think they're just dead meat. I think Ant can really cook in this one against Sohan, and I think they'll score enough to cover that 6.5.
Yeah, we're expecting a score first. Ant, we took his assist under, which is a 6.5 line, just outrageous line, juicy. But so let me just go over some stats for Minnesota. First in rim points allowed by a lot, by like 2-3 points, which is a huge number. First in PNR handler per possession D. So they're stopping pick and roll ball handlers. First in jumpers points per possession against. First. So they're stopping jump shooters. First in dribble jumpers PPP. Second in cuts allowed points. They're not giving up easy stuff. They are just taking away. Their half court is like 13 points better than last year's number one. It's insane how good this defense is. I'm buying. They're long. Teams can't score on them. Gobert's back. Ant's defense has really stepped up. Jaden's legit. Even Conley is a really good chase guy, which kind of helps that jumper PPP stat I talked about. This team's so good. Nas a good player off the bench defensively. This team's good, man. I'm buying. I was a year early.
I was literally just about to say that.
I'm still tilting the season long overs on the Timberwolves last year when we were like, they're middle of the pack defense. They're adding Rudy Gobert. They've got to be a great defense now. And then 20 games into the season, they're the same middle of the tier defense. You're like, what? Doesn't make sense. Does not compute. And here we are this year, and it's all kind of coming together.
Can we get the social team to let's get the social team to run our last season stuff and then just post it and act like it's new.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how we got to do it. But San Antonio. So let's talk Vassell really quick. Just want to add him. So 12 minutes. Pop said that they didn't want to play him anymore. Very weird, right? Pop says, he's not going to play unless he feels good. Shams Charania reporting he's going to warm up. Shams Charania with the siren emoji to say he's playing. I was like, okay, Shams, talk your ish. But so limit on him. I think he's not a lock to start, right? We saw last year he came off the bench. I want to say 5-6 times. We've seen this before, so I think they can manage him. We have him at 24 right now, and then we'll probably tick him. Actually, I think 23, and then we'll tick him up to 26 if he's starting. But I think it's kind of really unlikely he gets to 30. But I think this team's a complete mismatch. I think they're going to score around the basket, and it's just an unfair fight stylistically.
Yeah, just one other note on the Edwards stuff, because his assist totals have been really good of late, but he's actually run really hot converting potentials into actual assists. He's only averaged 9 potentials, 9 to 9.5 potentials per game over the last 5-6 games, and he's converting 7.5 of those. So part of the reason that I think we got a little bit of an inflated line today is just kind of running a little bit hot there. New Orleans and Houston. On the New Orleans side, Zion Williamson upgraded to available, which is great because they're going to be without Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, Najee Marshall, and Jose Alvarado once again, and perhaps Herb Jones, who's questionable, missed last game with that right fibula contusion. Justin, any thoughts on Herb Jones' availability tonight?
Yeah, I think Herb will go. He suffered that leg contusion on Monday when Jokic fell on his leg. He stayed in the game, was at shoot-around on Wednesday. So I think probably 70-30, 75-25 that he goes. Feel pretty good about that. So outside of that, I guess, Mike, you want to get into the matchups with the Pelicans? Who are we looking at? What are you expecting from Zion in the spot against Houston?
So it's going to probably be a starting lineup. I thought I was pretty sure Herb was playing last time, and I was wrong. We took an Ingram under, and we kind of didn't think it would affect anyways because we were expecting blowout in McDaniels, and Ingram looked great. So, I feel pretty strongly that Zion would be getting the Jabari Smith matchup. Jabari actually clamped him in the preseason, had 3 field goal attempts in 22 minutes. I know, Dink, you're struggling when I mentioned preseason, but I thought he was really good that game. And then Dylan would get the Ingram matchup, and which is pretty good. But I think the matchup's better for Ingram, who's like just good at still getting to his spots. He doesn't really need to be forceful and such, where Zion does. And I think Jabari is a tougher matchup for him with his length, quick feet, bigger guy. So I think his I would be more into Ingram. But again, this Houston defense is legit. I think they're 6th defensively. So yeah, well, and then obviously Jordan Hawkins is going to start. Kind of sneaky, right? Houston a little bit vulnerable to jump shooters. Not so much this year, but last year they really, really were. They were the worst. But yeah, do you agree with me on the matchups? And I should mention Ingram was trending for huge minutes. He get like 19 and change in the first half, coming off an injury last week too. So that was a little surprising. We were sweating a little bit.
32 was 0 fourth quarter minutes, I think.
0
so
fourth,
I mean that could have been easy 40 from Ingram last time out. Okay, let's move to the Houston side of things, where there is a big questionable tag here. They're still going to be without Amen Thompson due to that right ankle sprain, but Alperen Sengun listed as questionable with a left ankle sprain. And Sengun's been, the hub of their offense. I think if they were without Sengun tonight, they'd play a lot differently, just generally. We know that Jock Landale's been the primary backup center, but they've got small ball guys that they can use: Tari Eason, Jeff Green. So, Justin, what are your thoughts on Sengun's availability tonight and how they would potentially try to replace him if he were to miss?
Yeah, so Sengun, I think, is very iffy. I'd probably call him like a true 50-50 because they did ask him this morning if he thought he was going to play, and he said he didn't know and it's going to be a game done. Generally, players are like optimistic on the optimistic side that they're going to try to play, or they're, feeling good about themselves. But to hear that answer from him is a little bit concerning. So yeah, I mean, he sprained his ankle on a rebound in the first quarter on Wednesday, stayed in afterwards. So we'll see. I think he's pretty iffy. I'd probably call him a true 50-50 at this point. We saw last game, Jeff Green served as backup center. The matchups dictated that no AD. They were playing against Christian Wood and Rui, so they didn't really need Jock Landale in that spot. They play Valanciunas today, so I think they might kind of start a little bigger with Landale, but play a lot of smaller lineups. We saw the return of Tari Eason. He played 14 minutes in his debut. Jayshawn Tate played a ton. He played 15 minutes in the first half on Wednesday. He could have a big role today if they're out without Sengun. And it can't kind of be understated what Sengun's role has been offensively for this team so far. I mean, big usage, big playmaking for him to this point. I think it means just a big role for Jalen Green specifically if Sengun has to miss. I mean, we've seen Jalen Green 40% usage rate this season when Sengun's been off the court. So I like him a ton, especially with Fred VanVleet having to deal with a tougher matchup, on his end. So yeah, big Jalen Green upside today in the spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to probably be Hawkins guarding him, Herb guarding the FEV. So I think I gave a very rare, great matchup for Jalen Green, which maybe has happened 5 or 6 times in his whole career. But yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you. I think they start Landale and then they'll mix in a lot of stuff. So I think if I'm looking to get a stale line, I'm actually going to go after Jabari Smith rebounds. So I think he's going to really hit the glass a little bit. It does suck he has to guard Zion, but I think it'll kind of work out for him. So I like Jabari. He would benefit for sure. Possibly fire at a double-double line if you get, maybe plus 300, something like that. Should be actually maybe more because he's not scoring that much. But yeah, I think I pretty much agree with everything else you said.
Yeah, we'll also close with like the matchup lines up with both sides having a tendency to go small with Joval. They favor Larry Nance, and then the Rockets, will favor Jabari, Jayshawn Tate, Tari Eason, and smaller lineups too. So I think both these teams align in terms of like skewing small, when they can. So a lot of kind of minutes downside for like Joval and Landale, traditional bigs in this spot.
And actually, one more thing to add too, the minutes are misleading. Like the Rockets are in a lot of blowouts, and it's because they're doing the blowing out, which is totally different. So we've seen a lot of guys like Jabari's had a few 17, 18 first half minutes, and we're seeing like curtailed minutes frequently. So kind of like hidden, as Dink likes the term hidden assists. This is kind of like hidden minutes for some of these Rockets guys.
Yep. Let's move to Utah and Memphis. Utah injury report. Walker Kessler is out. They're also without all the G League guys. We saw them play without Walker Kessler last time out. defense is going to be a problem at the rim, especially without Walker Kessler. Mike, I know this is something you've been harping on quite a bit. What are your expectations for Utah here, who decided to start John Collins instead of Kelly Olynyk at the center spot last game?
Yeah, so I noted this in matchups, and this is something we talked a lot about early in the year. Early in the year, before Walker Kessler kind of had a breakout-ish kind of run, they were one of the biggest rim funnels in the NBA. That flipped once they realized Walker Kessler was a legit rim presence and they could kind of play differently. They became almost more of the other way. And early this year, they were a team that was giving up way, way, way more perimeter stuff. Well, in the last game, they gave up 61 rim points. Certainly, matchup hurt them. The Pacers scored at the rim at will. They're, I think, number 1 or 2 in rim points. But 61 is a ridiculous number. So I think they're going to be more of a rim funnel. I think that could, maybe get Memphis going a little bit inside. But we know this rotation should be pretty solid. Laurie playing more 4 could help his rebounds. Collins, we've been begging for John Collins to be a 5, to be on ball for screening more. That could really help out. Ochai Agbaji, I don't know how his minutes are going to hold. And then, of course, the headline here, Keontae George, it's his birthday, and he gets a start. And he turns in 9 assists, 10 potential assists, a lot of jump shots on those assists. So he ran about as hot as you imaginable, and we actually are betting against him, my guy, Keontae George. But minutes should be pretty good. And then also Jordan Clarkson. They knew the scouting report that Indiana's a big rim funnel. 31 drives from Jordan Clarkson, very uncharacteristic for him. This was clearly a matchup thing that Will Hardy told them to, I would say. So that could kind of come back a little bit. But yeah, should run this rotation back. Simone Fontecchio bench. Colin Sexton, again, the minutes are not there. I think the books kind of stopped lining him, unfortunately. But yeah, expecting basically a run it back situation. Maybe we get a couple more Olynyk minutes. Maybe we don't, but not really overlapping them much.
So I was actually just looking at that because that was my first instinct on seeing the 27 from Collins and the 21 from Olynyk and being like, oh man, they're not overlapping them at all. But at least on the popcorn machine, the rotation stuff, it looks like they overlapped a decent bit. They actually ran like 8 or 9 minutes with neither of them, with Lowry at center. So that's kind of an interesting thing that against Memphis, it's probably still doable. It's a similar matchup to Indiana from a size perspective, but it's an interesting thing to see if they continue to do that when they do face bigger matchups if they're without Walker Kessler, because obviously if Lowry's going to play center minutes, that's really compelling for Lowry just generally. And for their offense to be able to run like true 5-out stuff there, but they will really struggle on the glass if they're going to go with those types of iterations. You can see here only, I guess 47 rebounds is a pretty normal amount for them in these high-paced games, but it's something to keep an eye on. I was surprised to see when I first saw 27-21, I was like, oh, they didn't overlap at all. And then I looked in the game and it was actually like an odd amount of time with Lowry at center. So something to note. Memphis side of things, they remain just beaten and bruised. John Conchar is questionable with a hip strain. There's still Zaire Williams is questionable with a hip strain. They're without Derrick Rose, Xavier Tillman, John Morant, Brandon Clark, Steven Adams, Juju Jackson, Jake LaRavia is doubtful as well. So, I mean, if they were somehow down both Conchar and Zaire Williams, again, like who the heck is left at this point for Memphis? Justin, walk us through what we're looking at for the Grizzlies tonight.
Yeah, I saw the Grizzlies injury report and thought of the meme where it's like, I ain't reading all that. I'm sorry that it happened, or happy for you. It's crazy at this point how many guys are down for them. And yeah, we don't have a whole lot of details on Zaire Williams' strained hip. We know Conchar has missed the last 2 games with a strained hip on his end. So we've seen Bismack Biyombo step in and starting lineup without Xavier Tillman, play 26 and 30 minutes in his last 2 starts. Luke Kennard, big minutes to the last 3 games, 27, 32, 27 might be another 30-minute game for him out of necessity if they're short. They're so thin on bodies at this point. It would have to be David Roddy would have to play a lot more if one or both of them are out again. He only saw 13 minutes on Wednesday, but we've seen him get up. He's played 29 minutes, 32 minutes in 2 games earlier this season, so he has a bit of a minute ceiling if they need him in that role. So, it's going to continue to be, a 2-man show here between Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. We talked about the effect of no Walker Kessler on the Jazz defense, so I am very much into Jaren Jackson Jr. today. Don't think he has a ton of foul risk in this spot against this Utah team. So yeah, I think he's the headliner for me on this Grizzlies side. But my God, they're so thin. Are we interested in Luke Kennard at all? If let's say John Conchar and Zaire are both out, and he has to play around 30, 32 minutes out of necessity.
Yeah, sure. I think so. Maybe he starts in his spot. Could definitely be David Roddy. But yeah, and Memphis. I kind of don't. I just kind of want to play the stars here. We took a Jaren Jackson under. I think he's actually in a pretty good spot for ceiling. And Desmond Bane. I mean, Utah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a great spot for Jaren Jackson Jr. It's just we're betting numbers, not spots and matchups. And the line opened on Jaren at 26.5 points, which is just that's a Jason Tatum type line. And so we ended up taking an under there. But yeah, it's obviously a great spot for Jaren.
Yeah. And then Desmond Bane, really big spot here. The Jazz, on top of the rim stuff I said, they're dead last in pick and roll handler stuff. They can't stop anybody down there. So really huge Bane spot. We've been talking since we did the projections and earlier that this team just has no on-ball guard defense right now. And it's why we were so flummoxed on who's going to start and fill that role. So he'll torch Ochai Agbaji, no doubt to me.
All right, let's move to the Clippers and Dallas. It has not been going great in Clipperland since the acquisition of James Harden. They remain without Mason Plumlee. No other injury news to report here. Mike, I'll start with you on the Clippers side of things. Are you expecting to see any rotation changes or adjustments at this point? We know that they've continued to start Russell Westbrook. They did get Terrence Mann back last game, got him almost to 20 minutes. Bones Highland got a short first half stint and was then nixed. They played like an 8.5 man rotation. They didn't make it to 95 points. So things are not great in Clipperland. What are your thoughts here, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, just the roles are nasty, man. It's just too much splitting. So just looking at the 2-game sample, their high man and usage rate is Russell Westbrook, 25.9. That's not great for a number one option. And they're so tight. George, 25.4, Kawhi, 21.9, Harden, 17.8. That is terrifying for James Harden. Drives, nobody double digits. Westbrook's only 7.5 drives per game. That's way down for him. The front court touches, nobody's got anything. George only has 22.5 front court touches. When you're not a point guard and you're like a score first guy, that is also terrifying. Potential assists are not good. Only 11 for Harden and 9.5 for Westbrook. So these roles are really, really bad. And it's tough, man. It's tough to kind of bet into it. Obviously, the matchup is really, really good. Dallas's defense is really vulnerable inside. So I think this is more of a Kawhi Leonard spot. Ty Lue called Kawhi the best player. They win here, right? They're playing it cool. Like, oh yeah, we're kind of going through it, but they've been, like you said, 93 points. They got waxed at the Garden by the Knicks. So I think the minutes are pretty strong. I felt pretty strongly Bones is going away, and I kind of feel I don't feel any differently. So I think they're going to run mostly 8. We'll see a little bit of Bones. And the next question is matchup here. Luka. That's a PJ Tucker thing. We saw a lot of PJ Tucker at the 5. How comfortable are they going small in this situation? I think very, because I don't think they're going to want to put Kawhi or Paul George or all that. So I think we could see. So Zoo has a really good matchup. Worst rim deep per possession for Dallas. Big center spot. Derek Lively, not a great defender yet. The ceiling's really high on Zoo. The floor really low because they can play a lot of Tucker. A lot of good commentary from Ty Lue that he could play Tucker a lot and all that good stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of ways this can go. I could definitely see it playing small though. Fan, any other notes on the Clippers?
No, this just stay away from me. I mean, James Harden's usage is below 18% the last 2 games, and still there's too many cooks in the kitchen for me to really get excited about any of these guys. Like Kawhi's sub 22, it's bad. So I'm just gonna stay away from the spot. And it's tough too because if Derek Lively ends up missing, this is a spot where it's really gets my attention. Because this Mavs defense gave up 127 points to the Raptors on Wednesday without Derek Lively. And Kidd talked afterwards about how they missed his presence on the defensive end. So you give up 127 to the Raptors. I think they're 25th in offense or something. They don't, they're not a high scoring team. That's a spot where, okay, I can potentially get in on Kawhi. How would you kind of rank these guys if you had to? Just in terms of interest, I'm talking about Kawhi, Harden, Russ, and PG.
Kawhi by a lot, and then no, I don't want to rank anybody else. Yeah, I think Kawhi has a little bit of a ceiling if he kind of gets cooking. I'm terrified. I think Paul George's role compared to what I was expecting is way worse than I thought. Harden's role is worse than I thought. They're all like way worse, and like Kawhi's a little bit worse. So I don't know. I don't think. Do you have an answer to that one? If I had to,
No,
I'd go Kawhi. Go ahead.
I would have gone Kawhi first, but I mean, 127 Raptors points in Clippers, foreign exchange currency rate, that might be like 102 at this point. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully the Clippers can get the ship righted because, they paid plenty a penny for this group of offensive players to not be able to generate points.
Yeah, I'll close this out with a question. How many games do we think until Lou makes a change of the starting lineup and maybe brings Russ off the bench? How many games?
3.
Okay.
3 more.
Mike?
3 more or 3?
3 more.
3 more. Mike?
Well, he likes 10-game samples, so I'm gonna go 8.
Yeah, but I don't think we're making it to 10.
Yeah,
things got to get a lot better if we're getting even close to 10.
I got to pull up the schedule for the Clippers to see who they're playing next.
I haven't looked at the schedule at all, but I was just like, I can't imagine if there's 3 more games like what they've had the last 2 games, like it's getting changed. That you can't. Yeah, that maybe things get better against Memphis and Dallas here. The Denver spot's not going to be great.
Couple
Houston's good though. Houston's gonna give him some problems. They're the only gimme there is Memphis and obviously San Antonio twice.
Yeah,
but they might not make it to San Antonio.
Yeah, those are both in San Antonio too. So yeah, tough times for the Clips. Dallas side, you mentioned Derek Lively questionable. Justin, Maxi Kleber is also doubtful. So in terms of like front court bodies, we saw the return of Rashawn Holmes, who Mike and I spent a good month or so of the offseason hyping up the potential for Rashawn Holmes. That did not come to fruition at all. We did get to see 7 minutes of him last game. If they are without Kleber and Lively, what are your expectations tonight, Gallagher? Do we see Rashawn Holmes again, or is it the Dwight Powell fest that you've been longing for all offseason?
Yeah, clear my calendar, baby. The calendar. I don't know how to work. It is Dwight Powell time. But yeah, I think he'll be out there. Maxi Kleber, that he played through this jammed up pinky toe that he shouldn't have, quite clearly. So yeah, I think we'll see a little bit of him. Maybe Grant Williams. Again, this could just be a really, 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 really small game. So I think that could help Josh Green. That could help Derek Jones Jr. a little bit. It just feels like it's going that way, and it sounds like Fan agrees with me from when I started bringing up PJ. Me bringing up PJ Tucker and Fan getting excited is like worse than me talking about Dwight Powell getting excited. But yeah, it sounds like you agree that this could be more of a wingy kind of a lot of Grant, a lot of Josh, whose minutes are way down. I mean, Josh Green 18 minutes, shot the ball 3 freaking times. He's really faded here as Derek Jones Jr. has been playing really well with the athleticism, defense, a little bit of rim protection. But yeah, do you kind of agree that Dallas probably wants to play small too?
I don't think they'd be mad about it if PJ Tucker plays more than Zubac because they can go small too. I don't think they want to be trying out Dwight Powell for more than 25 minutes if they don't have to. On a side note, are we doing daily depth charts, Gallagher? You can put one for Mads, Dwight Powell ahead of Derek Lively.
I switched that, I think. Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to do depth charts, but I'm writing 20,000 words a week, working on minutes every day. A little busy over here. So sorry if anyone's thinks I'm being lazy or something. I'm definitely not.
All right, let's move it to Lakers Phoenix. On the Lakers side, a couple of bigs with questionable tags, Anthony Davis and Jackson Hayes here. We saw Anthony Davis miss last game, and it was just a disaster for the Lakers on all fronts. Christian Wood got the start. He did nothing with the start, literally nothing. He took 1 shot in 22 minutes, which I could not believe just looking at the box score. He opened with a line of 17.5 points, and we were at 14, and I was like, man, I probably got to pull off all these usage edits that I have from him from now being a Laker. And then I looked at the box score later that day and I was like, 1 shot. This is even less usage than when Anthony Davis plays in the games. So, Justin, what's your read on Anthony Davis as the Anthony Davis expert himself? His availability tonight. Jackson has availability tonight, and if Christian Wood intends to take any field goal attempts tonight.
Yeah, Christian Wood is kind of my go-to guy in terms of testing my friends if they know ball. If you think Christian Wood is actually good at basketball, then you don't know ball. It's pretty clear. And you kind of look at he's on a vet min, what he got traded for. It tells you kind of all you need to know about his value around the league, around among general managers. But with AD. President shoot around on Wednesday was a game time decision before being ruled out. He did say on Monday that he was confident he was going to play on Wednesday, which he obviously didn't. So I think it's kind of trending towards him playing, though you can never be too sure about, with AD, I'd probably say 65, 70% that he plays. With him, it's always the aggravation risk too. There's some downside there, especially with him coming back. He went to locker room twice, on Monday when he suffered that injury. So it's a little scary with him kind of going there if he does go. But yeah, if he doesn't, we saw the usage just really be cannibalized by three players. It was LeBron, D'Lo, and Rui Hachimura were the three that really took all of the usage on Wednesday with them out. So yeah, Mike, I'll let you kind of get in the matchups here, just with the Lakers guys, with LeBron, D'Lo, AD if he goes, who you're interested in attacking this matchup through the most.
Yeah, so just real quick with Wood, his first start of the year was almost as bad as Kyle Lowry's first start of the year. 4.4 usage rate from him. Kyle Lowry, the old 1.4 there. I feel very, 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 very confident Keita Bates-Diop is going to pick up LeBron and guard a lot of that. Obviously, Nurk would guard him. And then the other side, I think we see Prince early on Durant. And then I think we see a decent bit of Rui Hachimura, who's got a little bit more size. But they do like Prince. Prince has been more of a guard cover for them. But this team is just bereft on ball defense. And we saw it with what these perimeter guys have been doing. Like, again, you talk like Jalen Green cooked you. 11 of 15, 5-3. I mean, just smash. They don't have anybody who can guard. Ever since they lost Gabe Vincent, they use Vando. We saw Vando guarding John Morant a lot in the postseason, and other times, even with the Wolves, he did this. They got nobody. Cam Reddish is an on-ball D guy. Their two main on-ball D guys are gone, and they didn't have AD. It was just a recipe for disaster. I was not fast enough with the fingers to bet that when that line was there. It was way too low when that news came. But yeah, I think the Lakers are. If AD's out, I'm hitting this again. I think the Suns could kind of roll. I don't think this Lakers defense could stop anybody without AD and just no on-ball defense.
Yeah, no AD. I'll mention. I'll go back to D'Lo. I think he's in a really good spot today, and the minutes and usage are really solid. They just don't. The depth is just shot right now. They were playing like Colin Castleton. They moved him in the first half for a short stint. They're just so thin at the moment on bodies, so he just has a really nice minutes and usage for.
Yeah, this is just crazy because this offseason we thought this Lakers team had really acquired a lot of depth, and it's just all been erased early in the season with these injuries. And Austin Reeves defensively has taken a big step back, which is disappointing this season. Okay, Phoenix side, Bradley Beal probable, Devin Booker out, Jordan Goodwin listed available here. Gallagher, we were considering, and ended up taking an under on Grayson Allen. And I was, bombarding you with questions on, is this probable tag real for Bradley Beal? Or are we good to go? You feel confident that Bradley Beal came out of the last game and is going to be okay. And we shouldn't worry too much about this probable tag, but back spasms is always there's a bit of an unknown with back spasms just generally. So I'll start with you, Gallagher, and your thoughts on Bradley Beal and the Suns tonight.
Yes, so it sounds like he came out of the game okay, talked about it. The big quote to me was hey, he didn't want to push 30 minutes, and they're going to take their time in here, trust the medical staff, blah, 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 blah. So they were real hard in this 24 minutes. Didn't play him in overtime. They clearly weren't going to go over this. So I think, to me, I don't know if we could talk about other stuff, but the minutes is important here. So I think that there's 3 minutes limits for this one. It's one of three. 24, 26, 28. Fan, which one, or do you think 30? I think 30 is not in play. Which one of those 24, 26, 28 would be your magic number if you think it's most likely for the minutes limit tonight?
I'll go 28. I think that's probably where I put him around. Yeah.
So that's where you would put him, or that you think that's the most? Because we have him at 25 and a half, I think 25 and a half, 26. So we're just
I
because they
think
seem
that
like they want to
I
keep
think
that cap down.
I think that would be his limit. I think that would be the high end of what I would expect him to play. Sorry, I wasn't. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Given he's missed time already with the injury, and given how conservative they were with his minutes in the first one, that just in our experience of doing this, right? Like we've seen it with Middleton and Milwaukee, like just a progression of how teams are kind of viewing how much they want to let him go in early on the first couple of games. So I think I would say 26 and a half is around where I put him in terms of minutes today.
Okay. Yeah, we're 25 and a half, and we'll be kind of ticking up if we get any commentary. But other stuff, yeah, just Nurk's playing pretty big role. Again, if 80's out, Nurk party time against Christian, 4.4 usage rate would. Durant, I almost covered Boy Durant for the reasons I said. I don't think the Lakers had anybody on the roster that can guard him. The touches have been really, really good. He's driving a little bit more this year. The passing's been really good. Wouldn't be surprised. And, national TV game against the Lakers at home, call it line up the narratives here. Against LeBron, right? You got that too. So mints have been really strong. So I think Durant, he was my runner-up for cover boy here because I think he's in a really, really huge spot. Grayson Allen, 32 regulation minutes. A lot of handling from him. He actually was, I think, second on the team in touches behind Durant, or maybe in third behind Nurk, but he was up there. Really big role from him. We are hoping that he does not hit 8 career high 3-pointers again to kill us. He is our current final boss for unders.
Yeah, raise your hand if you're victimized by Grayson Allen on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, full blown. We'll see if it happens again tonight.
It was at least a quick death.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like we saw first couple minutes, it was like 9, 3, and 1. I'm like, okay, it's over. It's fine.
Yeah, we're done.
No sweat.
Let's move to OKC and Sacramento. The other team that I lost a lot of money on Wednesday night, the Sacramento Kings, just live betting the Kings over and over and over again against the Malcolm Brogdon-less Portland Trailblazers. Man, they are off to a really tough start. We'll start with the Kings on the home side. No De'Aaron Fox still, no Trey Lyles. We saw them start Keon Ellis last game, so that's where we're at in this Kings season. Want to talk about a year early? My Sacramento takes last year were quite bad, and God, this year I'm just like, this is kind of what I thought was going to happen. Keegan Murray is not taking the leap forward. Keon Ellis started, but only played 21 minutes. It was a big Malik Monk role. Still, Davion Mitchell still played a bunch off the bench. So everybody seems vulnerable here to Mike Brown's wrath these days. Justin, what are your thoughts here on the Kings?
I mean, they've been terrible without De'Aaron Fox. They're 1-3. They're 29th in offense, 28th in net rating. They barely beat a Blazers team in OT that was down Ant, Scoot, Time Lord, and Malcolm Brogdon.
Sharp fouled out. Sharp fouled out. They did have Sharp in overtime.
Unbelievable unbelievable how bad this and Kamara went to the locker room for a little bit. He came back, but I mean, this Kings team is down horrendous right now. They're facing a Thunder team. They're going to have a lot of problems in this matchup. I would expect, regardless of who starts between Keon Ellis and Davion, I think Davion's going to play a good amount, just having to guard SGA off the bench. Domas is obviously the funnel here, the hub of the offense without De'Aaron Fox. That goes without saying. I will say Kevin Huerter has acquitted himself well because Mike Brown hinted at lineup changes before Wednesday's game, and we were thinking it might be Huerter out for like Duarte or Malik Monk or somebody else, but it ended up being Davion Mitchell instead. Yeah, Kobe Jones, exactly. But it ended up being Davion Mitchell instead, and Kevin Huerter played 39 minutes in that OT game. So I think if you're looking at two options, I think the two options are pretty clear. It's DeMontis, 1, and Kevin Huerter, number 2. Keegan, my guy Keegan, has been such a letdown. We saw the offense in summer league. I thought he'd be a lot. I mean, he's gotten so much opportunity now with that De'Aaron Fox out to show kind of the creation that we saw in the summer league, and he just hasn't carried over at all. So, and Harrison Barnes has been underwhelming. It's just been so disappointing from a number of these Kings guys without De'Aaron Fox. So yeah, it's a bonus in Huerter, and I just never really have much Davion interest in general, even when he's starting. So I think even he's thin even if he plays a ton, having to guard SGA off the bench.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Dink and I in a pod, I want to say 4 or 5 pods ago, about the Kings and their handoff actions and how, that's such a big part of their offense and how Keegan can take on a bigger role of that. Well, Keegan handoff plays 0.54 points per possession is like, oh my God, so bad. That's one of the worst in the league. And he can't score in transition. You're on the Kings. You have to score in transition. 0.91 points per possession. That is like Memphis Grizzlies half court bad. So I don't know what's going on. He's struggling with his jumper. Really, I think he'll bounce back, but really discouraging. And yeah, oh my God, Malik Monk, 19 freaking free throws. Just an unbelievable game from him. Can't make shots there. Tilted. Go ahead.
Keegan didn't close, right? I'm pretty sure he didn't close that game, that Blazers game.
I don't think. I think they played small. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I think they closed with like Monk and Davion or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll one more shot across the bow against Keegan. The issue so far this year is shot selection. If you look at his percentage of field goal attempts by distance, he is decreased from 0 to 3 feet and he has decreased his 3-point percentage. So what is he doing? He's taking a bunch of mid-range inefficient shots just generally, and then he's not shooting them well on top of that. So like, even if he was shooting well, this probably wouldn't be a good trade-off for the Kings offense naturally. The fact that he's shooting poorly on top of it is just cratering things. And so he seems like the guy that's next most vulnerable. We've been talking about Herter a bunch, but without Fox, like Herter offers some ball handling stuff and the dribble handoff stuff Herter was good at last year. So I think Keegan is like a little bit on the chopping block, needs to put some good games together before we see like that minute ceiling rise again right now.
Yeah, I mean, thank God Trey Lyles is out and Vezenkov is buried. Otherwise, it might be like Keegan is his minutes safe. Like, I mean, another couple of weeks of this, and with Trey Lyles back, it's not. Yeah, it might get a little concerning at that point. You know.
Yeah, and just a couple things to add before we move to OKC. I think a lot of that rim stuff is just the transition. If you can't, if you're scoring in transition, you're usually at the basket or you're taking a wide open shot somewhere. So I think that's part of it. And then I just want to note Kessler Edwards, think he's going to play again. They seem to really like him. Mentioned 2 games ago that the only 2 players he liked in that game were Keon Ellis, who started the next one, and Kessler. So I think those guys are kind of locked into rotation minutes tonight.
OKC side of things, they're still without Kenrich Williams. That's the only real big injury here. This seems like a really, really great spot for an OKC offense that has been rolling, that has been playing really, really good basketball. You see them put up 128 on Cleveland. They put up 139 on Golden State. I mean, these are some of the top tier defenses in the league, and OKC's just been rolling through them on the backs of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Chet Holmgren, who have just been outstanding to start the year. The matchup certainly a little bit more favorable, it would seem, for Chet here, but I don't know if anybody is getting in the way of Shai from a matchup perspective. So Justin, I'll start with you on the Thunder.
Yeah, I'll save the SGA stuff for Mike because that's his cover boy today, and I'll let him dive into why he likes him there, so I won't steal his thunder. What I will talk about is, so we talked a little bit about Jaden Ivey and how he kind of fits in long term with the Pistons. I'm having kind of similar questions with Josh Giddey with the Thunder and how well Cason Wallace has been playing, and we've seen Diagonal consistently when they've been playing with leads. He prefers to close with Cason Wallace ahead of Giddey, which makes sense. Cason's tremendous defensively. He's actually been super efficient offensively. I think he's like, it was like 60-50, like 80 or something. His shooting splits were out of control. So Cason's been amazing. So it kind of makes me think like, okay, if Presti in that front office is like gonna make a big swing and going for a superstar in terms of a trade, I think Giddey makes sense in terms of including him in that package in the future, just given how things are going. So long way of saying that I think Giddey's minutes are very not secure at this point. There's downside because of how well Cason's been playing, and when they're ahead, like they should be tonight against Sacramento, they'll opt to close with Cason ahead of Giddey. So that's my only note for this rotation. It's obviously been the SGA and Chet Holmgren show. Otherwise, my former guy Jada, obviously doing really well. But that's my biggest observation so far, just rotation wise, for the Thunder to this point.
Yeah, just SGA, right? Cover boy for me. Keon Ellis is going to guard him, right? Like, and some Davion as well. Who cares? Davion's too small for SGA. He's just too good at getting downhill, getting to his spots. The Kings haven't
Is
played.
there ejection risk for SGA because Davion Mitchell is too small? Is this something we need to take into account for?
Yeah, I mean, we should
bring his minutes down.
We should have factored it in with Giannis. That was a clear oversight with him. Can't make that mistake.
Yeah, we got to take a quarter minutes off projections when you're playing a guy who's way undersized. But yeah, really good spot. We know that the Kings are really vulnerable around the basket. They're just so short on ball defense. I think Kessler Edwards actually picks up some of this, which again, they won't stop him. He's just rolling, leading the league in drives. Hasn't actually cooked like to the level he was last year, like per shot, but the role is increasing. So he's getting a little bit of a bigger role. The efficiency hasn't been there. Maybe he's not as sharp because he's doing underwear commercials. But I think SGA is in a really, really big spot. And I felt great about this. I took OKC -2.5 last night, and the market has moved against me. They are -1.5 now. I would take that. I think OKC rolls.
Same with Chris in chat. Any theories there, Justin? I know you are connected to the betting world. Any theories on why the line has moved in the direction of the Kings to -1.5 or to Kings +1.5 from +2.5 overnight?
I don't really have a strong read on that, honestly. Sharp people betting the Kings without De'Aaron Fox seems like a oxymoron at this point. They've been so bad. I don't know how you watch any of these last 4 games without De'Aaron Fox and have any sort of optimism of what you're watching. I mean, it's a little bit confusing to me too.
Yeah, makes me wonder if we get a midday Q on Shai. That's the only thing that it makes me wonder on. I don't know what else could it be.
Maybe it's like the models. Maybe the models because the Kings were good at home or something like that. I don't know. Last year, obviously.
Yeah. Maybe the market is reacting to all the money I threw at the Kings live betting against Portland. Maybe the market is finally taking that into account. They're like, we gotta shade away from this guy. Be prepared. But
Houston housed you twice in a row, which we talk about the zigzag method or whatever, right? Where usually if a team crushes you once, you kind of bounce back, right? They got to wreck both games, and then you could barely beat. You can't stop Skylar Mays' floater. You can't. You got no options. Just let Skylar Mays float all over you all game. You're like, what are we doing now? You get to deal with SGA's downhill game. If you can't stop Skylar Mays, what's SGA going to do to you? He's going to drop 75 today. Like I don't even know. Like,
I still take the 1.5 too. That's out there for OKC right now.
I just took more, which means I'm just gonna lose all my money at the end of the night on Kings games each and every day. I'm gonna build it up slowly but surely through the early games, and then dump it all in Kings games, and that's gonna be the method to my madness each and every night.
Yep.
All right. Well, Keegan Murray and Kings line movement talk got us past the 1 hour mark, so it's official. Justin's over cashes once again.
You know what we need to do. I might just come on on a Thursday 2-game slate and
just to test it out, test out the boundaries,
just to see how far we can push it to that hour. We're gonna talk like third string rotations. We might get in G League talk.
Big day today, baby. G League starts.
Yeah. Amazing. But that'll do it for us. As always, support the people who are supporting us. The good folks over at Underdog Fantasy, the news team that Justin leads over at Underdog Fantasy across all sports, NBA, NFL, all of their news is the best in the business, keeps you up to date. Get them on notifications on X and make sure that you're up to date on all that information. Take a look at their daily contests that they're running on DFS for the NBA side of things, for the NFL side of things, the Battle Royale, the qualifier that they've got going on for a trip to Miami to compete in live finals there on the football side. Check out all things Underdog Fantasy. And of course, if you're interested in more of the content that we're putting on behind the paywall at Established Run, check out establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA for more information on our products and packages. Mike Gallagher and myself will be behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern time tonight, breaking down this 9-game slate, talking about the good chalk, the bad chalk, the leverage plays, the contrarian pivots, so on, so forth. We've also got the props package where we're off to a very strong start, 80-34 through the first few weeks of the season, feeling very good about the work that we're doing there. But always ask, if you're interested in the props package, to please read that FAQ. It's really important. I know we have a lot of new members that are coming over, and the props game is different. It's difficult. It's challenging to get the lines. So we want to set expectations. Please read the FAQ to understand what you're getting into. And as always, if you enjoy this free content that we are providing, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, get notifications whenever we go live. And of course, smash that like button. It helps feed the algorithm, which helps feed our families and allows us to feed you the injury information analysis you need each and every day to make your spread bets, prop bets, DFS lineups. Nom, 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 nom. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.